Hello, my name is Wei. I'm a composer and I'm also a music educator. I have composed almost all my life and I currently teach at SOTA, the School of the Arts. So I've been learning music for almost all my life. I started learning music as a kid, learning the piano, and afterwards I joined the band when I was in secondary school, and that was when I really got interested into composition. And I was mesmerized by the different timbres and different sounds from different instruments around me, and I started experimenting with writing music. And here I am today as a composer. The type of music that I'm really interested in, well, is mostly more on the classical side, based on my training. And personally, I have a very strong preference for like minimalist music. So my background as a musician is mostly Western trained, having learned all Western instruments all my life, right? Even going through like a Western education overseas. So I went to the US and the UK to study composition. And after I came back to Singapore about 2 or 3 years ago, I felt that part of me wasn't showing in my music as a Singaporean, and I really want to explore my roots and explore the rich cultural heritage that we have here in Singapore. So for the fellowship, I really enjoy its approach in bringing culture and music together, and instead of just going straight into the types of music and the technical details of each musical style and each musical genre, the fellowship actually takes us through a journey into the culture, the history, the heritage of each individual culture, so that we really understand what's the history and what's the context behind it. And that's really something that helped me to have a deeper understanding to the kind of music that I'm working with. I guess one of the moments that um, was really special for me was when we went down to the Armenian church. We went to see this church that was one of the oldest churches built in Singapore by Armenian immigrants. So before I went to this church, I didn't even know that there were this group of Armenian immigrants in the early days of Singapore. And just being at the church itself, um, seeing the historic building, going into the garden, and looking at the gravestones of the people of the past, it really makes me wonder, like, what are the stories that we have, that are untold, that are unknown to the Singaporeans today. Because of that, it made me realize that yes, we don't really know much about our history. There's so much that is left for us to further explore and further discover. Firstly, I learned that I'm a terrible dancer. So we actually did this Malay dance activity when we were learning about Malay music, and I couldn't dance to save my life. So that's that. But other than that, it's like the more we learn about something, the more we don't know. The more we go into this field, we realize there's so much more for us to learn. I think that's especially true throughout this fellowship, because I used to have this notion that if I want to learn a particular musical style, I can just go to a book and just read everything off the book and learn its theory and everything. But there's so much that's not written on the book, and there's so much that I can only get by being there personally to experience the musical culture and to experience the music. For me personally, it made me more aware of myself as a Singaporean, as a Singaporean musician more specifically, and how I can make my music culturally relevant. Because throughout my schooling years, we've been taught about many, Western compositional techniques that were perhaps more relevant to musicians in the West, in Europe or in America. but we weren't really taught about how to incorporate like our own culture into the music. I mean, we were encouraged to do that, but uh, only when I came into Singapore did I have the environment and have the resources here to be able to realize that. So I remember one of the discussions that we had among the fellows here is what constitutes a Singaporean sound, a Singapore sound in terms of music, right? Because we do have a rather well defined style of Singaporean cuisine, Singaporean visual art, like the Nanyang style of painting. But what about Singaporean music that is kind of still up in the air and kind of left to us as composers to find out and discover. So I think that's something that I hope I can speak for my fellows too, that we want to explore further, and definitely the New Sites Fellowship has provided us with this platform and this opportunity and resources to further explore in this direction. Thank you for coming today. I hope after today's concert, Singaporean music has a new meaning for you, and you'll be able to find that Singapore is actually a very diverse and very culturally rich place for us to all enjoy and live together harmoniously.